So just for your benefit and for your privacy, for the students on the call, you will not be on camera today. So your questions can go right in the Q&A. Nobody will see you or hear you, and that's just to protect your privacy. So before we start digging into some of the questions that you've submitted, I will just have my panelists introduce themselves. I can go first. My name is Marissa. I'm working in the graduate admissions office. I recognize a lot of names in the participant list, so congratulations on your acceptance. I'm so glad that you've made it this far. As you know, my time with you is ending, so I will officially hand you off to our student services department. And I know just sitting in the suite with them, they are great and fantastic and are great support for you throughout your program. So with that, Josh, you are next on my screen. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Kane. I'm one of the MIE academic advisors here in Boston. Certainly look forward to meeting with all of you and working with you throughout your journey through your degree program. So I'll send it off to another advisor, Laura.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. So I'm Laura Everly. You may have gotten communications from me over the last few months with information about registering. I'm one of the Boston-based academic advisors on the MIE team as well. So looking forward to working with you and happy to be here.
Should I go next?
Yeah, take it away, Oslo.
Okay, so hi, my name is Özlem Ergun. I'm a professor at the MIE department in the industrial engineering group. I am also the associate chair for the entire department for graduate studies. So what I do is I work with more than a dozen program directors to manage all of our graduate programs, including both PhD and all the master's programs that we have. So my role is kind of to be the overviewer of the entire graduate program. So in general, if you have specific questions for each of the programs, let's say for the DAE or I don't know, thermofluids concentration in mechanical engineering, what I would do is I would direct you to the program advisor or program director, because those people know kind of much better about their own programs and their own requirements and their own kind of advice really in that field. But I am the person who kind of manages everything as an overall graduate programs. And I'll pass it to John from Co-op.
Hi, my name is John Blakeney, and I am a co-op coordinator within the MIE team, where I assist graduate students in their co-op search. That includes teaching ENCP 6100, which is the intro to co-op course, as well as advising students in their journey to co-op journey.
Great, thank you all for being here today. So just quickly looking at some of the questions that the students have submitted previously, since John, you went last, it would be a great segue, but a student actually asked in the pre-submitted questions, what exactly is experiential learning? Which I know is a very loaded question.
That is a great question. Experiential learning is a way for students to use the concepts taught in their classes and then implement it into either a project, an internship, co-op, some other experience. Using that then experience and then bring it back into the classroom. So it's almost like a cycle. You're going to learn things in class, and what you're going to learn, you're going to implement into some sort of project or a experiential learning project, experiential network, co-op. Implement those skills, and what you learn from that, you bring it back to the classroom. That's it in a nutshell.
Great, thank you so much. So there were quite a few questions about co-op. So I'll start with you, John, on some of these questions, and other folks can jump in if they would like. But there were a couple questions of students who were fresh from their undergraduate experience. They've never had work experience before. They're wondering if they can do anything to prepare for co-op or anything that might be a little different for them, since they don't really have anything yet on their resumes.
Couple of things. First, students in the first semester cannot search for, apply to, interview for, accept any sort of co-op or internship. We use those terms interchangeably, co-op, internship, the same. So when you enter into your first semester at Northeastern, don't even worry about the co-op, because you can't even begin to think about that into your second semester. What can you do? Well, you might take that co-op prep course in the first semester, which will tell you skills about how to write a resume and network. But you can also do that, and we recommend you to actually take that course in the second semester, because what we find out is people forget things in the first semester. So it's better to implement the skills at the same time while we're in. But what you can do is you're going to find out when you're looking for jobs, a lot of time employers are looking for attitude, a positive attitude. Are you willing to learn? Do you accept criticism? Are you willing to implement things that you're being taught? Do you show up to classes on time? Do you actually want to be there? Why do you want to work for this company? What skills or what value can you add? And we'll teach you that in the 6100 course. And your professors will tell you that as well, in that you know this stuff, you need to put the time in. And the skills that you learn in the spring semester, in your first semester, can be the baseboard, or the springboard for when you do search for that co-op. A lot of it is your attitude and your willingness to be part of that team. And we all started off new at one point. We all at one point had no experience. Don't worry about that, because we're going to show you the skills and how to use that when you're looking for a co-op. I had no experience at one point, and look at me now. So don't worry about that. We'll guide you through that.
Great, thank you so much. And then just quickly before we transition off of co-op, so I know you're doing a lot of talking right now, John.
That's
so
okay.
I appreciate
I
that. Students are kind of asking, like, who is the co-op advisor that they have, or co-op coordinator? Who is that person, and kind of what is their role with them while they're doing their co-op?
You will only be assigned a co-op coordinator once you have been approved to search. So to be approved to search for a co-op, you need to meet a certain GPA, which is 3.2 or above. You need to go on co-op have at least 16 credits, completed credits. You need to make language scores. And you need to complete what's called an intent to co-op form. You'll get that intent to co-op form later in your first semester, at the end of fall. And then we'll be doing in the spring. And once we look at everything, review everything, that's when you'll be approved to search. And that's when you'll be provided a sign-up co-op coordinator. If you have any questions before then, we do have a mailbox, an email that you can send to. And actually type that into the chat, or should I send it out to you? Marissa, what's the best way to give out?
So I'll actually be following up with the students after the presentation today, so I can share any links or email addresses or
so
anything.
It's MIE grad co-op at northeastern.edu. I'm most likely to respond to that. So if you send an email to that mailbox, I will respond. So now you have a name and a face to it. And you can ask any question there, and we'll get back to you within a day or two.
Awesome. Great, thank you so much. So we're going to transition a little bit away from co-op, but if you have any co-op questions, do feel free to put those in the chat. We're happy to answer those. So we're actually going to transition a little bit over to our student services folks, and awesome. Some of these questions might be relevant to you as well. But students are kind of wondering, I know you already answered if registration was open, but how do they go about registering? I know you've sent some communications to students, but they're wondering like what specific classes they should be taking, which MIE is one of the biggest departments in the university. So I know many of you are in many different programs, but the registration process is pretty similar for every student in every program.
Yeah, so I can share a link to our new student information webpage. So on that website, there's all sorts of information from how to get your Husky ID card to program specific course registration guidance, setting up your My Northeastern account, and how to go about registering. A lot of those guides from your department also have steps included within that document as well on how to register. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that in a chat for everybody to see that webpage if you haven't seen it already.
Can I just say a few words here about the course registration? So I know that a lot of the incoming students get panicked about, oh, when do I register? What does it like? What should I register for? So what I will say is just keep calm and you'll get these course registration guidelines, which tells you for each program that you're in, what are the suggested course plans. And obviously these will be, you know, you won't do these exactly the same, but they give you an idea of what to do. I know that I saw some questions about how do you even know which classes will be offered next spring and the summer. So we're not going to know that for sure until we're closer to those times, but the best guide or best estimate of what will be offered in the future is if you look at summer 2023 for what is being offered in the summers in general. And if you look at fall 2023 offerings, that will be a pretty good estimate of what will be, if you look at spring 2023, that would be a pretty good estimate of what will be offered the next spring. But obviously these are just estimates, things change, but they are a good estimate. So what I'll say is keep calm, look at the documentations that are being shared with you. And when you come in to the campus for orientation, we'll be talking about all of these in more detail. And then you'll get plenty of opportunities to meet with your academic advisors, your program directors, and all of that. So you will be fed information as in time, you know, so just kind of keep calm and follow the directions that you receive, read all the emails, read the documentation. I mean, the best way to find yourself or your way around in the program is actually follow the directions and read the information, because this is almost everything is written, right? You know, on the documentations and on our web pages. So, so please, you know, like usually this is the fastest way. Reading through the documents is the fastest way to find the information.
Great, thank you so much. And I'll just add too that I know you're getting a lot of emails from a lot of different departments, whether that's me or Laura and Josh, or even from the department. Everything is really important. So just make sure, as Azam said, make sure that you're reading through everything very, very carefully. Everything is right in front of you. So hopefully that'll answer some of your questions. But just to kind of stay on course registration and kind of picking classes, I don't know which of my panelists would be the best person to answer this question, but students are kind of wondering what is the difference between faculty advising and the academic advisor. So if they have an academic point of contact versus what Josh and Laura maybe do for the students.
So I mean, basically, the good news is you have two advisors. One is the faculty advisor, who's the program director of your own program that you're in. And then you have the academic advisors, who are people like Josh and Laura, who work in the College of Engineering graduate programs office. And they help you with everything that is administrative. They will also help you. I'll let you guys talk about how you can help the students, but they'll help you everything that is administrative. They'll help you with kind of issues around registration and all of that. However, the faculty advisors are the program directors and they're professors just like me. So what they will help you with is things like, you know, just general advice on if you want to, let's say, go into supply chains in industrial engineering, what would be the right courses to take as electives, right? Or we will look at petitions that are, for example, if you want to waive a course, right? So we are the ones who would really look at the syllabus of what you have taken before and make a decision if you can waive this course or not. So we're the ones who kind of evaluate the content of the academics, and the academic advisors are the people who really understand the administrative processes in the university, and they help you with that. But Laura and Josh, I'll let you add on to that.
Yeah, thank you, Aslam. So just like she said, so questions around registration errors, questions about forms, things like that, academic probation and academic standing type things. Those are all things that we can help with. If you're not sure if it's a question for, maybe we refer to them as program contacts, but if it's a question for them or us, you're welcome to reach out to our general inbox and we can point you in the right direction. But yeah, as far as like course content things, sort of like career planning, I'm interested in this, what course might align with that, that would be something we would direct you to the program contact for. But like Aslam said, most administrative things we're more than happy to help with or connect you with the right office.
Yeah, just to echo what Laura and Aslam had said, our job is doing a lot of facilitating and, making sure things are moving smoothly on the back end of things. And if there's something that we can't particularly answer, we're great about helping you get in touch with the correct point of contact for that particular topic. So that's kind of an encompassment of what we do day to day.
Great, thank you both. And I'll just mention too that your faculty advisor and your academic advisor are also, for those of you who are international, you also have another advisor in our Office of Global Services who can help you with anything visa related. So I know there's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts, but I think that just speaks to how much support Northeastern has for all of you while you're doing your education here. So the student did not share exactly what program they were speaking to in the department, which, as I mentioned, there are many, but Josh, Laura, or even Aslam, depending on your knowledge, students are kind of asking how much time they should dedicate to like homework and different projects and things outside of class. And if there's any suggestions you all have for kind of how to do time management and things like that for the incoming students.
I can say a few words and then I'll pass it on. So in general, most of our students who are incoming take 2 or 3 courses that are kind of, core courses or some electives, but they are serious courses. So they do take quite a bit of time. There will be usually weekly homeworks and there will be exams and there will usually be a project. So our advice is, especially if you're an international student and it's your first time in the US or in Boston, my advice is to really maybe start with taking only 2 courses so that in your first semester, you have some time to get used to the area, to get used to everything else that's going on. And then, of course, a lot of the students will be interested in co-op and start thinking about that, looking at jobs. Usually in I guess like that, as John was saying, like that usually starts more closer to the second semester. But don't forget that also takes a lot of time. So in general, my observation is that students are pretty busy taking 2 or 3 courses when they come in. So this is a graduate program. It's not like your undergrad where you take a ton of courses. These are kind of serious courses. It's expected that if you don't know something, you'll just go and figure it out and you'll learn it. So the standards are high. So I would encourage you to give yourself time to take your classes seriously and to give yourself time to get accustomed to Boston, to the US, and to the entirely new environment.
Yeah, to echo Aslam's comment, I know a lot of students come in and are really, really excited about co-op and getting into their ENCP, 6100 course, for example. And we really encourage students to use that first term, like Aslam was saying, to get acclimated and sort of get adjusted and understanding what the expectations are going to be with these courses, what that course load is going to look like for them. Obviously, every student is different, so it's difficult to sort of put a specific number, on the number of hours you should commit to your course, but really just focusing on getting acclimated in that first term is what we like to recommend to students. And if there's ever a question about anything, utilizing those resources that are available. So, the advising email, their OGS advisor if they need to, even the co-op team and their program contacts sort of making a plan for themselves. But yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I would say is really just focusing on getting acclimated and getting comfortable. And, from that point, there's plenty of time to, pursue your co-op and get excited about those things. But it's challenging to even get to that point if, you aren't, finding success in your first term. So that would be my advice for you.
Yeah, again, just to echo what Laura and Oslam had to say, we definitely understand there's a lot of excitement and a lot of things that you're going to eventually do in your degree program. But obviously, getting off to a good start and being successful in your classes are really the prerequisites for the rest of the, stuff to happen, like co-op and eventually obtaining employment and all that good stuff. So there are so many resources available to students, and please just continue to communicate with advising and your professors and the department, and we'll be happy to assist you however we can.
Great.
What can I add one thing, Marissa?
Yeah.
Trust the system. What I mean by that is we want every student to be successful if they put the time in. A lot of times students might be talking to their friends that might be in different programs, and they might get suggestions from there. That's great, but they're not the experts. So go to your co-op coordinator, go to the MIE co-op box, talk to your professors, go to academic advising. We know what we're doing. We're not going to steer you in the wrong direction. Please trust the system, because we're not going to steer you in the wrong way. We want you to be successful. If you trust the system, you're going to be successful in whatever you do. Just trust us. We know what we're doing. Friends are great, but not in regards to like advice on how to do co-op or select courses.
Great. Thank you guys for all of those great answers. Laura and Josh, this might also be a question for you. A couple of students were really asking, when is orientation, and if they have to miss orientation, what do you suggest that they do?
Yeah, so I know you've been getting a lot of communications from our team, an RSVP form, for example, for our in-person session. So most terms we hold 2 sessions, an in-person one and an online one. This year for fall, the in-person session is August 28th at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on campus. And then on Friday, September 1st, we'll have an online session. That session will also be recorded, and we'll upload that recording to the Canvas course that we also add all of our incoming students to. So you can always refer back to that if you aren't able to attend it, or if a year into your program, you're just looking for resources. Neither of these are mandatory. They're definitely optional, but highly, highly, highly recommended. We're going to have, speakers from different offices, student groups that come and sort of explain the different resources to you on campus that are available. We also do a more thorough conversation about, registration errors and some of these common things that you might run into during your time in the program. So like I said, highly, highly recommended, especially the in-person session. It's a little bit longer, and we're going to have, more participants from external groups coming to speak, and external offices, I suppose. But it is not mandatory. So if you RSVP and aren't able to make it, that's okay. But we are holding the virtual session later in the week also. So hopefully that's flexible for students with travel plans who might not be here yet, and for whatever other reason.
Great, thanks, Laura. And I just see a question that just came in. If you are in the Gordon Leadership Program, do you recommend going to that orientation as well as the mechanical program orientation? I would assume that every orientation is probably valuable for you, but would you say that too, Laura?
Yeah, definitely. If that's if you're a part of that program, or even, I guess, interested in becoming a part of that program, we would definitely recommend that. I don't know, on our new student information webpage, again, there is the master orientation schedule. So you can see the dates and times and any types of Zoom links for any sessions that are maybe hybrid or online only. So definitely take a look at that and see if that works with your schedule. But yeah, definitely attend that orientation if that's a program that you're a part of or interested in.
Great, thanks. And I'll say too, I'll be following up with all of you and I'll provide this link for you as well. But Laura and Josh's team has a very comprehensive new student website that really has everything you need to know. They'll be posting the orientations. That's where you can have your course registration guidance as well. They're really good at anticipating all of the questions that you have. So there's a lot of information on that. So just encourage you to kind of check that out as well as you're kind of going through the things you need to prepare to come to campus. So just quickly before we transition to another topic, this is another registration question, but student is asking, what is the total number of courses one has to register for throughout their graduation period? So I'm not sure if that means per semester or just overall, but just if somebody wants to address that, that'd be great.
So for each semester, full-time students, especially our international students, there's, the full-time registration is required to maintain visa compliance. So that is 8 credits or more. So 8 credits is generally our 2 4-semester hour courses that are offered within COE. There are circumstances like Özlem mentioned, where maybe later in the program, students will take 3 courses at a time. But I would say the most common thing we see with our MS students in particular is 2 4-semester hour courses per term. And that does meet full-time visa maintenance and compliance requirements. And then as far as the overall program, most, if not all, I think of our MS programs are 32 total semester hours. If you're doing a certificate or something like that, that obviously would adjust that number accordingly. So the graduate catalog for the 23-24 academic year should be posted to our website. I think early August is what we're hearing. And so that's a really good resource that will point students towards to sort of see like what those degree requirements are, including the total number of requirements, also for certificates and things like that. Or if you are in the Gordon program, for example, the requirements that, would be needed for the program that you're in. So we don't have that link yet, but that should be posted. But that is one resource we point students towards when they're sort of trying to figure out planning and what the total number of credits they need to fulfill their degree is going to be.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm just looking at the Q&A. It seems there have been a couple of questions about RA and TA positions for MS students. So I will say that most of those do go to PhD students. They really do get the priority. Özlem, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
I like to mention that. I mean, a lot of questions ask this question, and separately, we all do get many emails regarding this. So as we have been saying, both the research assistantship and teaching assistantships do go to PhD students as a priority. However, once you're on campus, and usually after your first semester, you are able to apply for some course assistant and grader positions in the department. And there is a process for this. You don't have to send emails to different people. There is a process where towards the end of a semester, you'll get an email saying that if you want to apply for a course assistantship, like do this and send us this, there is a process, just follow the process. But I must say that we're a very big department. So although we do hire a bunch of course assistants every semester, a lot of people apply. So it's a competitive process. You will never get it as an MS student. You will never get that position in your first semester, because we expect you to come in and actually take that class and have a relationship with the professors who are teaching it, so that they can recommend you as a course assistant for this class. So once you're here, as you're taking your classes, you can start thinking about potentially applying for a course assistantship. for the next semesters, you know, and you'll get it. Like if you, as I said, it's a competitive process, but if you take these courses, perform really well, have a good relationship with the professor, there is a chance that you might actually get it. On the research assistantship side, that is much less likely because most of the research money just goes to the PhD students. And on the other hand, I must say that every once in a while, there might be a project that arrives to a faculty member who can and who might, I mean, this project, sorry, might actually allow a master students be involved, and that way a master student might end up getting a research assistantship, but that is much more rare. So usually the way that students end up getting involved in research is by doing either the project or the thesis option and do the research for credit rather than for funding, because as I said, like for master students, it's very unlikely to get an RA-ship. On the other hand, a lot of our students do apply for campus jobs as when they're here. Again, none of this is guaranteed, but once you're here, you can start applying for different campus jobs to supplement your income. And of course, a lot of the students do go on to co-op, which also ends up being helpful. The bad news is though, like you're just not going to be able to apply to any of this before you're here. So your first semester is usually the semester where you come in, understand how things are working, prove yourself in your classes and so on, so that you can apply to all of these things later on.
Great, thank you so much. I know that's a very common question, so thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I just want to like reiterate, I do get a lot of emails about this. It's just that like the answer is never going to be different. Like you can keep emailing everyone, but we do have a huge program. So we have about 1,500 graduate students in our program. So if you think about, even if I get 10%, if 10% of those students write me an email, it will be 150 emails to me on this topic. So it's just that the answer is not going to change. So I rather you to think about, like other things than how you might end up getting some funding for the first semester, because it's just very, very unlikely. So just, kind of keep calm, come in here for the first semester, do well, get adjusted, and then look for these opportunities.
Great, thank you so much. So I am seeing in the chat that a lot of students do have questions about deferring their acceptance to another semester. And I will say that that too is also a very common question. So of course, we definitely want you to be able to come on time if you are able to do that. But we also understand that there are sometimes extenuating circumstances and you're not able to arrive. Just as a general policy in the College of Engineering, if you are requesting to defer, you can do so up to 2 academic terms. So if you're a fall admit, you can defer your acceptance up to fall 2024. Anything past that, you would have to reapply for your program, and there would not be, you would not automatically be accepted if you had to reapply. So deferring is very simple. You can either email graduate admissions and we're happy to give you the directions, or you can actually request to defer right on your application page. If you go to the request tab on your application status page, you can request to defer. I will say that deferral requests are often not processed until after the semester starts. So if you request to defer today, it's very likely you won't hear from us until the end of September or the beginning of October. And that is actually for your benefit. So if you're, if anything changes in your status, if say you request deferral and then you kind of want to take that back, that gives you the opportunity to come into class and kind of cancel that deferral request. So I will say, if you want your deferral request to be processed, please do not register for classes that will actually hinder your deferral request. So just keep that in mind. But just in short, email graduate admissions if you do have questions about that. And you can defer no matter which campus you're on as well. And I'm also seeing a lot of students asking questions about billing. So unfortunately, no one on this call is actually authorized to help you with your billing. You'll be working with our student accounts office and our student financial services office. So they are actually the ones who will put out your bill. They will give you your timeline, and if you have to set up a payment plan, you can do so right with them as well. For the student in the chat who is asking about foreign credential evaluation, if you are able to register for classes, that means that you cleared your foreign credential evaluation. You wouldn't be able to register without that. So that means that the team has already cleared you and you are more than welcome to start registering for classes. So you don't have to wait for that as well. Yes, so for the student asking about the scholarship, I would recommend that you also reach out to us directly just to give us some more information. I'm not really sure which scholarship you're asking about. I know the department would not be awarding you that scholarship, I don't believe. So just reach out to us and we're happy to help answer that for you. So John, this might actually be a question for you because I've seen it pop up a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about the English language requirement for the co-op? I know some students, there's can be sometimes a difference between what you need for admission and what you need for co-op. So can you just elaborate on that just a little bit?
Sure. One of the requirements to have a co-op in the United States is to meet the language requirements. And what that means is you need to have at least a 7 or above on the IELTS, a 95 or above for a TOEFL exam, or a 125 or above for the Duolingo/DET exam. I know many of you will submit language scores when you get to admissions and have met those requirements, and then it will expire by the time you are approved to search. That's okay. We will accept the scores that you use into admissions. However, if you don't meet those requirements at the time of admissions, you certainly can retake those exams whenever you want to by that due date that we will tell you. Another option people have is to take a technical writing course called MEIE 6800, which is a zero tuition, zero credit course for students that have not met the language requirements to take this course. And at the end of the semester, there is a 2-part language exam, written and oral. And if you pass that, you will then have met the language requirements. If you apply for co-op and meet all eligibility requirements except for the language, you can still go on co-op, but just not in the United States. You can do what's called a global co-op. You can do a co-op in your home country or any other country around the world. We do have a global co-op team that can assist you with that. But if you do not meet the language requirements, that does not prohibit you from participating in a co-op. It just means you cannot use find a co-op within the United States. Does that answer the questions?
Yes, thank you. All right, so it looks like we have one more question in the chat. The student is asking, what is the start date of the program? I believe it is September 6th for my academic advisors? Is that the first day of the semester? Yeah, September 6th. Yes, so it should be September 6th on your POA. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to OGS Canada as well. So I do believe we covered all of the questions from the students, including the questions who were pre-submitted. A couple of you answered those questions as we were going along, so I appreciate that. If anybody has any last questions, do feel free to drop them into the Q&A. But before we log off today, I'll just ask a question for my panelists. Is there any closing remarks or anything you would recommend students do prior to coming to campus? And I'll pick on you again, Laura, because you're right on my screen.
Yeah, I think like Marissa said earlier, just really reading all of the communications you're getting. I know it feels like a lot. Some of it might be repetitive, but all those links that are embedded in there are all really, really important to help. And they often answer a lot of the questions that you might have already. So just taking the time to really study up on that. I guess also from like an OGS perspective, I know that their turnaround time right now is a little higher than normal. So just patience, like a lot of the other panelists said, just really paying attention to any of those processing times that are advertised and knowing that everybody's working and prioritizing things based on, you know, dates and things like that. So I know patience can be really hard when we're really, really excited, but just know that things are being worked on and utilizing those resources that you've been given up until this point.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like to just kind of add on to that as my final remarks, which is really, as I said before, we have 1,500 master's and PhD students. So we are a huge program and everything gets processed, but it takes time. So please be patient. And often the fastest way to find an answer to your question is to read the emails and read the documentation. So please do not panic. Everything is getting processed and you'll be taken care of, but you have to give time for everyone to be able to process, you know, in order of receipt, the requests that we get. So if there are, and again, like usually if you get an answer, if you start asking that question to multiple people, you'll still get the same answer. So please be mindful of everyone's time. And, you know, like the answers are straightforward usually, and you will get the help, you will get the recommendations, and everything will fall into place. And a lot of this happens closer to the semester and as you come in here during orientation and so on. So as Laura said, we all understand that you're excited, but at the same time, you know, it's the summer, people are still trying to put things into place for the next semester. So we might not have all the answers even yet, right? So I've seen, for example, a question about who's going to teach this class. I mean, there will be a professor who will be a faculty member who will be teaching that class. It's just that things move around and things do not get finalized until the semester begins.
Anyone else have anything they want to say quickly?
Yeah, this is John. From a co-op perspective, students, I know students go to Northeastern for the co-op. It's a great program, but students are not guaranteed a co-op. Co-op is part of the experiential learning process, and there are many other ways to gain experience through projects and through activities. And what I tell students is a co-op does not make a student. Just remember that, I mean, it is a competitive process. There are skills to be taught to learn, but remember at the end, you're going to get a degree from Northeastern, which is one of the top universities in the nation, in the world. We've expanded 14 different campuses. I mean, it's a great, great school. And my son's going to college now, and they always say, be comfortable becoming uncomfortable. So do that, explore Boston. I know a lot of people are from, you know, from India or China, and I realize they all congregate to the people that are like them. Be adventurous, get to know other people from different cultures, different countries, get to know people, and you're going to expand your network, and you're going to have a wonderful time here at Northeastern. Besides going to the hockey games, you're going to have so much fun and knowledge, and, you know, enjoy your time. Enjoy your time in Boston. Enjoy your time at Northeastern. Or if you're in Seattle or Vancouver, whatever, just enjoy your time. You're never going to get a chance to do this again. You think you will, but you won't. So enjoy it. Don't rush. Trust the system, trust us, and you'll be wonderful. Those are my closing thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's hard.
Josh.
It's hard to top John, but yeah, I would just say, you know, start strong. And as John said, you know, every day and every interaction is a chance to make a connection. whether that's short-term, long-term, and yeah, throughout the campus and throughout the program, everything is very thriving and, you know, next level in terms of innovation and all of that. So again, we look forward to having you and look forward to working with all of you.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll just say in closing, I'm really happy that you all joined us today. I know some of you are on the other side of the world, so you're joining us either late at night or you know, chosen to spend your free time in your evening with us. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I'll just say that really excited to see all of you on campus if you're coming to Boston. And just wanted to extend another warm congratulations on your acceptance. It's not easy getting into grad school, so you guys should be really proud of yourselves, and we're excited to see you on campus. So with that, I guess I will just close the webinar. Just quickly before I hit close, I will be following up with all of you today who are on so that I can provide you with the recording link. I'll send you the link for the new student information page. Like I said, Laura and Josh's team has a lot of information on there. It's very comprehensive. So I do encourage you to take care of that. But otherwise, please do enjoy the rest of your day, whether that be your morning, your afternoon, or your evening. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to our panelists who took time out of their day as well. Thank you, everyone.